Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that feels like a closely guarded secret, but honestly, it's really just a hyper-disciplined approach to money. We're talking about the billionaire playbook for wealth preservation during recessions. We've completely broken down how the ultra-wealthy don't just, survive economic crashes, they actually consistently thrive in them. So let's just get right into it. It is such a fascinating paradox, right? How exactly do the ultra-rich get richer when the entire economy crashes? I mean, while the headlines are screaming doom and everyday investors are out there panic selling, the billionaire class is doing the exact opposite. There's literally no magic here, no crystal balls. It's just a highly calculated, totally unemotional methodology that they've honed over decades. To understand this, we're going to break down the playbook step by step. First, why recessions happen. Second, cash reserves and debt reduction. Third, gold and defensive stocks. Fourth, buying undervalued assets. And finally, the sheer power of compound growth. All right, section 1. Why do recessions happen? Look, the macroeconomic cycle is honestly entirely predictable. It always kicks off with an economic boom. Money is flowing everywhere, credit is super loose. But then human nature kicks in, right? And that leads straight into market bubbles built on massive debt and totally detached asset prices. Eventually, reality sets in with a harsh market correction, which drops right into an economic contraction. The thing is, the wealthy fully expect this exact cycle. They absolutely do not fear it, they plan for it. Moving on to section 2, cash reserves and debt reduction. When a recession hits, unnecessary debt is literally a ball and chain. It makes you incredibly vulnerable to interest rate hikes and totally paralyzes your options. On the flip side, holding large cash reserves, it's like breathing pure oxygen. While the average investor is forced to liquidate their assets just to keep their head above water, the billionaire is sitting on a mountain of cash. They're agile, they're stress-free, and they are completely ready to strike. Which brings us to section 3, gold and defensive stocks. Okay, so this right here is what a true financial fortress looks like. It is absolutely not built on risky tech startups that might just vanish overnight. It is carefully diversified into tangible, highly resilient assets. You've got gold, which is, the ultimate historical safe haven. You've got defensive stocks. These are companies providing the absolute basics. We're talking utilities, groceries, everyday healthcare. Because, hey, people still need electricity in a recession, right? You combine that with stable real estate and those crucial cash reserves we just talked about, and boom, you've got a portfolio custom engineered to weather literally any storm. Next up, section 4, buying undervalued assets. Just imagine logging into your brokerage account and seeing your favorite index fund down by 40%. I mean, human nature literally screams at you to just run away and sell everything. But billionaires, they have been waiting so patiently with their cash reserves for this exact moment. To them, a 40% market drop is absolutely not a disaster. It is a giant, massive clearance sale on premium assets. So the ultimate billionaire mindset is super simple to say, but man, it is incredibly hard to execute emotionally. You have to buy undervalued assets when others panic. Because they understand that the economic cycle is entirely temporary, they can rationally step right into a chaotic, absolutely terrified market. They scoop up top-tier companies and properties for literally pennies on the dollar, and then they just wait. And that leads perfectly into section 5, the power of compound growth. Because they bought the dip, time suddenly becomes their single greatest asset. If you fast forward 1, 5, or even 10 years post-recession, that calculated investment they made at the absolute market bottom doesn't just recover, it multiplies exponentially. By buying at such a steep discount, their dividend yields and capital appreciation are massively, massively amplified. They aren't out there chasing a quick buck. They're playing a 10-year game where compound interest does all the heavy lifting. So if you want to build your own financial defense, you really just need to remember these core plays. Master the economic cycle. Cut out that unnecessary debt. Hold on to your cash. Protect your portfolio with things like gold and defensive stocks. Buy when everyone else is panicking. And finally, just step back and let compound growth work its magic. It's a really clean, super logical progression. Look, if you take away only one thing from this entire explainer today, let it be this. Patience outpaces panic. The ultra-wealthy do not possess a crystal ball. What they possess is unshakable discipline. They let the math, the cycles, and the financial structure do the work for them, while the rest of the world basically just lets fear dictate their future. So the playbook is completely open now. The only real variable left is your own discipline. When the next recession hits, and let's be real, it definitely will, who are you going to be? Are you going to be the one panicking and selling at a massive loss, or are you going to be the one with the cash and the courage to buy the bottom? The opportunity is completely yours to take. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer, and as always, keep learning.